Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. I have my glass Books Are Portable magic mug and a gingerbread oat milk chai latte from Starbucks. It's so delicious and holiday drinks are going away like ASAP, sadly. So today's video I'm going to be going over one of the challenges I'm doing in 2024. So last year for 2023, I guess it's still 2023 as I'm filming this, I did 23 books to read in 2023 challenge, and I decided for 2024 I'm not going to do 24 books to read in 2024 because that is a significant portion of my reading of the year. I usually tap out at about 80 books, and that's a good portion of books, and I am a pretty big mood reader. I like to read new releases and read stuff on my own TBR, obviously, but I'm a pretty big mood reader, and so sometimes that can be a little bit challenging when I have to add like 2 more books a month that I have to read in order to complete a challenge. And so I decided that was a little bit too much this year. But what I did think was interesting and what I decided to incorporate this year is Books and Lala has done her YouTube channel. I can link it down below, and the video about her explaining this challenge. She has done, I'm not sure how many years, but I know she did it last year. She's done a Buzzword book challenge. And this year, the goal is basically to take each buzzword and then read a book every month. So it's only 12 books. 1 book a month is way more doable for me than the other things. I know it's still quite a bit, but I thought it would be a little bit fun to do the challenge. If I decide later on that I'm not going to do it, that's fine. But I could tailor a little bit. There's a little bit of freedom in what you pick. Obviously, you have to pick something off of the words. But I wanted to go over the prompts with you guys to show you the challenge to see if you would like to join. Like I said, I will link her video down below about this so you can see her explain it better than I can. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into 12 of the books that I'm planning on reading this year, if all goes according to plan. But the first one for January is you have to read a book that has there, or there. Obviously, they're spelled differently, but you have to read a book that has one of those words in the title. And this one was a little tricky for me, but I had been recently talking about how I want to get into more mystery thriller type books. And I was thinking about starting to read Agatha Christie because she's like the mother of, murder mystery books. I've never read anything by Agatha Christie. I watched The Murder on the Orient Express and will probably watch all of the other movies they do. And I think they're fun and just, a good time. So I was thinking about this challenge and thinking about what could I possibly read from this prompt. And I thought of And Then There Were None, which is one of her most popular books, I believe. So the plan for that prompt is going to be And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. I do not currently own a copy. I'm going to listen to it on the library app or something. But that is the one I've picked for January because that definitely fits. For February, the prompt is, the buzzword is positive words. So like happy, joyful, like any sort of positive word, and she leaves a lot of this up to your interpretation so you can make it kind of fit the way you want as long as it does fit the prompt. And for this one, I am choosing A Fragile Enchantment by Allison Shaft. And this is a new release. It's coming out January 2nd in the US. I'm not sure if it's out earlier. I also know it's going to be like a fairy loot book, I believe. I'm curious about this. I don't know a lot about it. I know it's a romantasy, and I think it's supposed to be more like historical romance fantasy, which sounds great to me. I'm very curious about that. And I chose that for the prompt because I think enchantment is a positive word. I feel like enchantment is usually like magical, positive. I'm enchanted to meet you. I'm enchanted by you. Not in and to me it's positive and not negative. So I'm taking it as positive, and that's the one I'm picking. So the prompt for March is character names and titles. So you have to pick a book with a character's name in the title, obviously. So for this one, I decided to go with, and let me get it real quick so I actually have something to hold up for once. This is my Fairy Loot edition, so it's obviously on a sprayed edges thing that I'm trying to get through over time. So this was a good pick, and I've also been very curious about this book. I've heard this is also kind of like a cozy fantasy. I'm not exactly sure what it's about, but I've heard really good things about it. A Charmingly Whimsical Delight, for instance, by India Holton. Look at that! I've just heard really good things about it. I think this is also kind of a cozy fantasy-esque situation. So I do want to get to this, and this will be the pick for March. And then for April, the buzzword is nature, which is very broad. So for this one, I decided to go with, and let me get it, I do have it, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, because it has sea in it. I think I will really like this. I've heard it's a Princess Bride retelling, and I think it's just going to be kind of cute, and you're going to be following Tress, who collects cups. That's literally all I know. She's going to be on her own adventure, but I think this will be a good Sanderson book for me to read. I have read the first Mistborn book, The Final Empire, and I liked it, but I had some issues with it and some just like, I don't know, personal things for me to get through. And I think this writing is going to be very different, and he's written this a lot more recently, so I would like to read this. I think I will enjoy it. This is a beautiful copy. My husband got all of the like secret project things. So I would really like to read this. I think I will really like it. So this will be the prompt for, or the book for April's prompt. And then for May, the buzzword is every. So I struggled with this one because like Every Heart a Doorway was the first thing I thought of that I've already read. So it took me a minute. I was scrolling through like things I wanted to read, and this one could change potentially because I'm not really sure what would fit this prompt. But I scrolled across this, and apparently at one point I had clicked want to read on this book on my Goodreads, and that is Every Dark Shadow by Sarah Zim. I don't really know much about it. It says rebellion is stirring, an orphan turned fugitive, and she's been safely hidden in the mortal world for 4 years, and her memories and magic has been locked away from herself and the siphoning Grey King, and they hunt sources of pure magic that vanished with this character, Ophelia. A scholar, a smuggler, and a soldier have sworn their lives to hide and guard her until the time is right to awaken her magic. And to do this, they have to move her around and make sure that she forgets that she lives with them, which I'm not really sure how that works. She lives with each of those 3 people, and they live in very different environments. And rebellion is stirring in the brutal kingdom that the Grey King lives in, and he's enslaving the Magic-born. And shadows start coming into her world, and so she joins this rebellion, or at least is trying to take them down. I really know nothing about it, but it has every in it. And then for June, the prompt is repeating words, so any word that is doubled can count. And so for this one, it was also a struggle, but I did eventually find one. And I've kind of been meaning to read this for quite a while anyway, and that is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. It's got 2 thes. And I read The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, and I loved it. I've never loved a mystery book so much in my life. It was so good, 5 stars. So when I saw he was coming out with another book, I immediately like pre-ordered it and still haven't read it. He's got another book coming out in 2024, which I'll get to in some anticipated releases, but I would like to read this. From what I remember, this is a story about, it's this world's greatest detective on this ship, and there's murders that start happening, and there's some folklore mythology about a devil or some sort of like demonic creature or something that is on the boat that is killing them, and he's trying to solve the mystery and trying to figure out if there is a fantastic element or if there is not. And I truly know nothing more about this because it's a mystery, so I kind of don't want to know a lot. But I would like to get to this just because I would like to read pretty much anything he writes after the first one. It was just so good. So this is definitely up for it. And look at these edges, excuse me. Crazy, right? It's also been on my sprayed edges shelf for quite a bit. And then for July, the prompt is measurements. Any type of measurements. So for that prompt, I decided to go with Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater because, again, this is a, I believe they're called fairy tale Regency novel. Yeah, Regency fairy tales book. And I've been very, very curious about this. It's like a historical Regency romance, but it's got fantasy elements. And I've heard really good things about this book. And I've been meaning to read it for a while. It's pretty small. This is the Fairy Loot edition. And I've heard people talk about it, say love it, say it's so good. And I've really been wanting to read it, but just haven't gotten to it yet. Haven't pushed myself to get to it yet. So this perfectly fits the prompt because it has half, which she said does count. I think she specifically used this as an example. So this is what's going to meet that prompt for me. And for August, the prompt is like, literally the word like. So for this, I very wisely chose Song of Silver, Flame Like Night by Emilio Wenzao, because this is also a book that I've wanted to get to and just haven't yet. So, also sprayed edges, look at me go. So many of the sprayed edges. This was a new release in 2023 that I wanted to get to and just didn't in 2023. So, hopefully I can get to this in 2024 because the sequel is also coming out. So, this one. I don't really know anything about this, honestly, but it says an epic new fantasy duology inspired by Chinese mythology. There you go. I'm sure other people have talked about this book. I know Elliot Brooks, I think, read it and liked it. There you go. This isn't really, I don't know, I'm not trying to get into the books exactly because we'll be getting into that later, but I wanted to show you the books that I'm planning on reading for this challenge. This next one is a little tricky. It's September. September's prompt is senses, so like touch, taste, smell, and this can be anything that's related to those. So it could be something you see, it could be eyes, sight, scent, smell, mouth, eating, like anything that has to do with your five senses. So I have two books that I've picked for this. One of them is a backup. One of them is an anticipated release of mine, but I don't actually know if it's coming out in 2024 yet. It may, but it also may not. So it may not even be available. But it is Thirstwood by Ellie Blake. She wrote Frostblood, and I just really want to read like anything she reads now after I read that book, even though I haven't finished the trilogy. So I was just so impressed with that book. So that one potentially, but if that doesn't work, I would like to read Kiss of Death by Alice Wilde. It has kiss in it. This is one that I kind of blind bought on Amazon. It's an indie author that I was just really curious about. It sounded kind of fun and interesting, so I got it. And I have not read it yet, but it says, one kiss to bind their souls, one kiss to end them. Tempting the Fates, Book 1. And on the back it says, what would you give to save the one person who truly loves you? Your soul, your life, your love. And I've talked about this book in a book haul and stuff before, but I don't know. I'm curious about it, and this fits the prompt, so potentially this one. And for October, the prompt is relationships. So this could be anything. This could be boyfriend, best friend, wife, sister, like any sort of relationship you have. And so for this, I picked The Marriage Act by John Mars. Marriage can be between people. It's not necessarily a relationship, but I feel like I can get away with this because of a husband and a wife, or, you know, whatever. Whoever is married to one another, it's a relationship. So I've been curious about this. I saw that it was in the Goodreads Choice Awards, but I read The One by John Mars, and I did enjoy it. It wasn't my favorite book of all time or anything like that, but I did really like it, and so I would like to continue to read some of John Mars' works, and The Marriage Act is one that I will try to get to in October. I don't know anything about it. I just know it's John Mars, and he writes kind of mystery thriller, maybe horror-y type things. I think it's more mystery thriller. I would like to read more of his works. And for November, the prompt is the word only. And for this, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about this book, but I was a little bit curious about it. Circled it like a shark for a minute at the Barnes & Noble buy one get one 50% off table. And that is The Only Purple House in Town by Anne Aguirre. I'm not really sure how to pronounce her last name. And this is book 4 in the Fix It Witches series, but I think you can read each of them individually. It would just spoil some stuff for you, but I'm okay with that. I really like the title, and it sounded kind of fun. I don't really remember it right off the bat, so let me look at this. But it says, Iris Collins is the messy one in her family, the Chaos Bunny. She unexpectedly inherits a house from her great aunt, and her plan to turn it into a B&B fails, as most of her plans do, so she winds up renting out rooms like a Victorian spinster, collecting other lost souls, and not all of them are human. So I think this is kind of like I think it's probably a romance, but I think it's also kind of like a cozy fantasy, people come to terms with problems they need to fix type of a book, and it just sounds fine. Something like be easy to read, and I'm okay with that on a challenge, so that is the one I've decided on for November. And then for December, the prompt is holiday words. So like literally anything, Christmas, holly, winter, jolly, Krampus, like legit anything Christmas related. And I was reading, well, I don't know if I actually was, but I was in the mood to read Christmas books in December, and I read a couple of them that were like these cute, fluffy, Christmassy books. So I think I will have no issue picking something like this. And it may not even be what I pick now. I could just throw out like literally anything, and it may not even be what I end up reading in December, but there's so many options for this that I would have no issues finding something. Let me just try to find one to give you an example of what I could read. The Christmas Cafe by Eliza Evans. I know nothing about it, but it was Christmassy, and honestly, when I get to like December and I want to read Christmassy things, I will. So I don't think I'm gonna have any problems meeting that standard. If I have to fall back on it, I didn't end up reading A Soul as Cold as Frost, so I could put that on there. That one's like gonna be fine to meet. So those are all of the books for the prompts. of Buzzword Book Challenge. If you would like to join this challenge, I would love to know. Comment down below and let me know what your picks would be. I will leave a link to Books and Lala's video down below, like I previously said. But if you want to join this challenge, it would be super fun. I will do it with you. The other thing is that if you have a Storygraph account, on the video, she has a link that you can open your Storygraph and you can click the join this challenge button and it'll be on your Storygraph, which is fun. That is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe, be caffeinated. Bye.